My name is Daisy. I'm the CEO and founder of Vanish. This is my YouTube channel and I'm currently 22 weeks pregnant. I want to do a video all about my pregnancy symptoms in the first trimester. I am not sugarcoating anything. You guys know I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell it like it is because goddamn, I literally went through hell for the first 4 months, and thank goodness, I had no idea that it was this bad. I have so much respect for women and mothers now. I mean, it is bad, and I don't know, like, people don't seem to like talk about it. Everyone seems to be glowing and the maternity photos are so beautiful, but it was literally hell. I went through the worst like physical and probably mental pain in my life for those 4 months. A little bit of background: I'm very sensitive, super sensitive to hormones, medication, side effects. Like, if there's a list of side effects in a lot of different medicines, I basically get every single one amplified like 10x. Drinking 1 glass of alcohol will get me tipsy and I get a migraine the next day. I did go on hormonal birth control like 10 years ago, but I only lasted for 2 months because the side effects of the hormones were just too much for me. So I will say that I think because there's so many hormone changes when you're pregnant, I experienced the worst of it. So hopefully you guys are less sensitive to everything, okay? First thing is, how did I know I was pregnant? Well, I said this in my other video, my pregnancy announcement video, but I felt like there was cardboard in my uterus, and I was supposed to be getting my period at about this time, and I remember just like waking up in the middle of the night and I felt like kind of pinching towards the sides of my uterus. It didn't hurt, it just felt like little pinches, and it also felt like there was cardboard, like there was something in there, and I think that's probably like the embryo developing and stuff, but I felt like, ooh, like something's going on. And I was also constantly hot, constantly sweating. When you're pregnant, you have a lot more blood flowing, so I felt like very hot. I also had food poisoning during this time, so that might have contributed to it. But also, breast tenderness was huge. Like, boobs hurting so much that, you know, even the water droplets in your shower just like hurts, and they hurt more than during PMS or during your period. So it's this kind of like insane like hurt that has never really come before. Week 6, the nausea started kicking in, and this is when I found out I was pregnant. So I had all day nausea. The nausea just felt like the worst hangover you could probably imagine. It was like this steady feeling of like nausea, which I think is even worse. Like, I would rather just like throw it up and like get it over with, but it was just this like this steady thing of nausea, and it kind of affects everything you do, from sleeping to eating to working to doing all of that. I ate a McDonald's during this time, so I craved anything that was super salty and processed. So anything like French fries, anything like a hamburger from McDonald's, Diet Coke. I drink a ton of Diet Coke. I don't know why, like, Diet Coke really like sat well in my stomach. And I also had a hard time sleeping during this time. Okay. Week 7, I started getting huge stomach aches. During my first trimester, I had a lot of stomach problems. I felt like my stomach was like it was a hot cauldron bubbling all the time. Like, I just felt like my stomach was like overflowing. I don't know if it was like stomach acid or whatnot, but like it felt like a bubbly hot cauldron all the time. I really didn't want to eat anything, but I was so hungry all the time. That was like the hardest thing. I was like starving all the time. I didn't want to eat anything, and everything would gross me out. And during my first trimester, I think I spent $120 a day on Postmates because I would be so hungry and I would just be ordering all this food online, and once it got delivered, I just wanted to puke and throw up. I was super wasteful. Don't waste food. It's not good for anyone or the environment, but like, you know, I was like getting really sick. My dog Lily, she's gotten significantly fatter over these last 4 months because she just like eats all the leftover food that I don't eat, which is like all of it. The one thing that I did eat a lot was baked ruffled cheddar chips and baked Cheetos with Diet Coke because my stomach just felt like so upset all the time. So anything super processed and salty like hit the spot. Week 8, I could start eating again, but I was still having a lot of nausea and whatnot. I had this weird craving for mustard. I remember going to like a sandwich shop and I asked them for like 3 big side orders of mustard, and I like dredged the sandwich in mustard. I don't know why I craved mustard. I also craved watermelon. So throughout my pregnancy, I've been eating literally a big cup like this big of watermelon a day. I don't know what it is about watermelon. Maybe I'm dehydrated, but I have been just eating watermelon, and watermelon was always like, it sat well in my stomach. So if you are going through morning sickness, if your stomach feels like it's on fire, try drinking like watermelon juice or eating watermelon. And then I also really crave turkey sandwiches during week 8, so I would eat a ton of, or not a ton, but when I could eat, I would eat turkey sandwich drenched in mustard. Week 9, I started getting headaches and migraines, and that was really bad because when you're pregnant, you can't take Excedrin, you can't take your sumatriptans or your triptan medications. So I used to get migraines during my period all the time, and I would always pop, a few Excedrin, some coffee, and now, when you're pregnant, you can't take that. So they recommended to take Tylenol with some coffee. The doctor even said I could take up to 700 milligrams of coffee. I was also super dizzy. I felt like the room was spinning, and there were some times when I'd be driving and I felt like the road was spinning. One thing that really helped me again was I ate those huge packages of watermelon. That really helped me. There was this time I had such a strong craving for bologna sandwiches. It's so weird. I looked up how to make a bologna sandwich. I bought Wonder Bread, I bought coleslaw, I bought Oscar Mayer bologna, it had to be Oscar Mayer, ketchup, mayo, and I just ate bologna sandwiches all the time. I know you're not supposed to eat deli meat when you're pregnant, but come on, it's so hard not to eat deli meat for an entire 9 months. So definitely listen to your body and take things with a grain of salt. I also remember I tried to work out after week 8, and working out, I don't mean doing Soul Cycle, doing really high intensity, Barry's boot camp, whatnot. I did Pure Barre, and even though I felt so sick and so nauseous, and the last thing I wanted to do was to go and work out, working out actually made my nausea feel better. I always felt so much better when I worked out. Really helped. I think it helped me more than any other medication I went on or anything else. Week 10, I had a lot of cramping and pain. What I mean by cramping, it wasn't period cramps. It was I felt like someone was stabbing me in the stomach kind of. And then week 10, my back started to hurt, and even to this day my back hurts a lot, and I've never really had any back issues until pregnancy. I remember I couldn't just lay on the ground anymore. You know how you can lay on the ground when I'm doing yoga and shavasana? I would have to prop my back on a block or something or lean to the side. It just really hurt. My back would start hurting a lot during week 10. So week 11, I had watermelon every day. I was constantly burping. During the end of my first trimester, I kind of felt feverish, your blood just pumping a lot faster. I also had very high blood pressure during the end of my first trimester, and I was freaking out because I thought I had preeclampsia, but my blood pressure then went back down to normal. So I don't know why all of a sudden I had this huge spurt in my blood pressure. I was also sleeping super soundly. In the beginning of my first trimester, I was not sleeping at all. I just was tossing and turning. I was constantly hot and dizzy and all that stuff. So I was definitely not getting a lot of sleep. I wasn't exhausted or tired. I was just not sleeping well, not eating well, and just constant headaches, nausea, feeling like I had the flu at all times. Week 12, I started getting really hungry. No matter how much I ate, I was constantly hungry, and even now at almost week 22, I am constantly hungry. If I'm hungry, I can starve myself, that's fine, but if the baby was hungry, I would feel so guilty, My back was hurting week 12, and I was just really tired walking around. I remember I went to a mall, and I just wanted to sit at a mall, sit at a cafe, and get some work done on my laptop. And I just remember even walking from the parking lot to the mall entrance to the cafe, I was completely out of breath, completely exhausted. Also during the end of my first trimester, I would say from week 9 to week 12, so the last month, I went through this phase where everything tasted like metal. I think a lot of people get it because I Googled it, and it's definitely like because you're pregnant. So that also made it so hard for me to eat food because no matter what I ate, it tasted like metal. And again, I was so hungry and I was not eating protein. I was not eating like healthy food, just eating like Ruffles, chips, and Diet Coke. So that made it even harder for me to eat. For me, my first trimester, like the morning sickness did not end at 12 weeks. My first trimester hell went through up to 18 weeks. At 18 weeks, when we did the big ultrasound scan, that's like when my morning sickness went away. So for everyone, it's like very, very different. Some people have, you know, morning sickness for, you know, just the first month. Some people have it for the first 3 months. I had it for the first 4 months and 2 weeks. At week 13, I was just in very, very deep sleep. Like my sleep was so deep. And during this time, I had a huge craving. Like all throughout my pregnancy, I've been craving super, super, super salty processed foods. And then week 14, the nausea stopped. But something worse came. I had migraines. I had migraines every single day. During this entire time, I was still, you know, running Banish. I was still going to all the meetings. I was still doing all that stuff, and nobody knew I was pregnant. So I was trying my best to try to get through everything, but there would just be times like in between meetings or in between whatever, I would have to lay down and just be like, oh God, like this needs to be over. So I had migraines for about an entire month, and I would say pretty much 3 times a week, if not every day. Now, the one thing that really helped with my migraines, I actually got deep tissue massages, but only in my skull. So I went to these the Chinese massage places. They're amazing. Week 16, I've been getting cold sores all the time. So surprisingly today I don't have a cold sore, but I just wake up with a bunch of cold sores on the sides of my lips. Also at week 16, I had extreme pain in my ribs. I've never had that before, but it just felt like my ribs were super, super sensitive and they hurt. And then week 17, my migraines were still going on, and I also had cramping feelings. I don't know if it was cramping, but it was my inner thighs felt very crampy. I never bled through my pregnancy. Maybe it was just my uterus was growing and I felt that pain in my inner thighs. I will stop at week 18 for this video because week 18 is when my first trimester hell kind of stopped. My migraines actually stopped at week 18, and this is again during the time I had the ultrasound and when we found out the gender. I really do believe I had migraines, such bad migraines, because it had to do with the genitals of the baby developing. I read that online, and that makes so much sense because you can just influx of extra hormones that your body's not used to. But starting now, week 18, I have just been so hungry and I have been waking up starving. So I go downstairs and I'll make myself put some Eggo waffles with some whipped cream or some bagels with cream cheese, all that stuff. That stuff I've been doing, and it's really annoying because you'll wake up, be up for an hour to eat, and then it takes a while to go back to sleep. But I've been trying not to wake up and eat even if I'm hungry because it's not really good for you. So I started my pregnancy at 1:30. I was super, super fit before I got pregnant, and now I am at almost 150 pounds, which is just crazy to me. I've never been this, I guess, big in my life. Honestly, I think I'm okay with it because I'm not defined by the way I look and stuff. I'm not a model. My job doesn't depend on me being skinny. Also, my partner, he doesn't care if I'm skinny or fat. Although he says that I should not be eating all this really bad food everywhere. What other symptoms have I had throughout this pregnancy? I just feel I'm out of breath constantly. I'm super thirsty all the time, so I drink an insane amount of water. Now I constantly have to pee. About every 30 minutes I have to pee, so I have anxiety when there's gonna be no access to toilets. Any first trimester must-haves, maybe I'll make another video about that. I'll make another video about that because this video is way too long. Overall, I went through a terrible, terrible 18 weeks. Man, I really have so much respect to all the moms out there because it is not easy. Even though I do run a business while doing this, at least I don't have any other young toddlers in the house. I can't imagine baby needing constant care plus being pregnant. and going through all these symptoms. So mad respect for all the moms out there. Now that I'm at 22 weeks, I feel 60%, 70% myself. So things are getting better. For all the women who are going through this, I mean, just try your best to get over it. I know it sounds like it'll never end, but one thing I did do was I watched so much YouTube because all I could do was lay in bed. I went through like a whole Amazon series and stuff because I was just so sick. And even my partner, he actually was like, I feel really sad because you're just in bed all the time and that's not you. I think what made the experience really hard was I define myself as someone who's very industrious, very ambitious, very productive. Like, I love getting stuff done. It's like my high of the day. When physically you cannot be your normal self, and mentally, you know, you're just having nausea and migraines all the time. You can't get the work done that you need to. You just don't, I don't know, I just didn't feel like myself, and I almost felt like worthless and not useful as a person, which I think was also contributing to some depression. It's not just the physical symptom, it also kind of went to the mental and the emotional symptoms. But I am getting out of that and getting back to my old routine. So I hope that was the worst of the worst. Thank you all so much for watching, and I would love to hear what your first trimester was like, any tips for new and aspiring moms out there, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.